Hello and welcome to Finextra TV. I'm Alex Lippic, and joining me in the studio today is CEO and founder of Sporter. It's Andrew Smith, and this is of course part of our 2026 Predict series. Andrew, it's great to see you here in the studio with us.
Thanks for having me.
It's great to see you. Now, as somebody that has a lot of experience within the banking industry, experience in abundance, I should say, what major developments do you expect to see in 2026 specifically?
Well, I'm going to give the answer that everyone's going to give you at the start, which is you're going to see a lot more AI. We're going to see a lot of AI taking hold of particular experiences for the customer. I think where I'm going to be slightly different to everybody else is that if you think about how do you leverage AI correctly, you need to have infrastructure that runs in the cloud. So I'm almost going to step back and make a prediction I made back in 2015, 2016, which is to realize AI, you're going to have a lot more cloud native technology. You're going to have a lot more of your data in the cloud. So whilst we're going to see AI and it's going to get a lot of the headlines, behind the scenes, I think you're going to see a real push from IT and operations to push data and more infrastructure into the cloud. So cloud adoption is probably the thing that we're going to see a lot more of in 2026. And that means you'll get more focus around who are the big players, Amazon, whether it's Microsoft Azure or even Google now.
AI, clearly a huge player moving forwards. You're focusing, of course, on sport and well-being. How important do you think will similar specializations be as well as we look forwards to the new year?
I don't know if I like the word important, actually. It's one of those things, I think that it's important for me as a customer. As for an institution, for a bank, less so, or the industry. Let me say that, less so for the industry. As a customer, you can see why it becomes more important to me. We all want to consume information. We all want to consume products and services that kind of speak to me in the way that I want to be spoken to, and I want to engage them in the way that works for me. So that personalization into the kind of taking into account of the type of person I am, or the type of business I am, or the industry that I'm in, that's going to become more important to me as an individual. And therefore, that would drive change gradually across the industry. There's one bank that already does this really well and that proves it, which is Oxbury Bank. They service the agricultural market. They talk to them in the right way. They understand the problems in the right way. They provide products and services that work for that industry. And instead of getting to that 70-30 rule, they're actually servicing 95% of the needs of that customer in the way they want to. So I think it's one of those things you're going to see happen more. I don't think you're going to see a shift from organizations like the incumbents or even the challengers right now to try and adopt that, because it's technically too hard for their business models. The one thing I will add that is slightly different is look outside of banking and what do you see with the experiences? If we look at social media, what have you seen in that trajectory? We started off with like Friends United, and then you had this amalgamation of MySpace, Friends United, and a couple of other these things to generate what we all saw as Facebook. Everybody loved Facebook, but it didn't talk to you in the way you wanted to consume things. So consumers then wandered over to Instagram for their photos. I want to consume photos from my friends and people I want to follow. If I want to talk to them, I'm going to use WhatsApp. Both of these things you could do quite well on Facebook, right? If you want short videos, you can go to YouTube or back to Instagram. So what you're seeing is that industries, as they evolve with technology, start to become more specialized after they've amalgamated. So you could say the challengers have brought new experiences that there, and now you're going to see the next step, which is actually a much more of a specialization.
Like you say, the industry is constantly moving, constantly evolving, as is the technology, of course, as well. Now, well-being, we've spoken about it already, but it's played a key part in Sporter, in what you're all about as a business model. Will that continue, do you think, in 2026 as well? Well-being being a key focus?
Yeah, 100%. For Sporter, anything to do with sport, leisure, well-being, they're very personal to me, and it's very personal our mission. And they share the same DNA. I think if you were to look at the last 10 years, well-being's been on its own journey, right? It's really had a surge. And there's a number of subcategories within that I think a lot of us can relate to. You've got a big movement for functional nutrition, not just health sports food, but functional nutrition. There's a movement away from your lifespan to health span. And that's how many years you're going to be really healthy and active for. If you think about weight management, if you think about cognitive behavioral therapies and hypnotherapies and that whole well-being, all of these areas have really surged forward. probably driven by younger generations who see it as a lifeline and not so much as this luxury good and products and service. So we'll see that carrying forward, but the industry has still got the same financial challenges that sport and leisure has. So I think it's going to keep growing. It's already a £175 billion industry, wellbeing. I wouldn't be surprised if that's past 200 billion by the end of 2026. But you're going to need businesses like our own one to try and support them on that journey.
Can't underestimate the importance of well-being. It'll be fascinating to see how things develop next year, but I want to thank you so much. It's such a great project to speak about. So thank you for your time, Andrew.
Thanks for having me.